Welcome back to another player profile brought to you by the DRM podcast. It's myself, Henry. To my left, oh, it's just left. Alex Martinez. Hey man,
What
it's
it's
weird.
up, man?
Today
The
we got
Zoom,
a
man. Blame it on Zoom.
yeah, it is Zoom's fault. Today we got a special player, Jamar Chase from the LSU Tigers. Alex Martinez, break it down for me.
Thank you for the intro, Henry. Boom. As Henry alluded to, we'll be covering Jamar Chase, LSU wide receiver. A lot of people forgot about him because he opted out of the 2020 season for a small little thing called COVID. But I'm here to remind you that this guy is the wide receiver one. Don't let anyone fool you. He is the wide receiver one of the 2021 class. 6'1", 200 pounds are his measurements. 2019, acting as a wide receiver one for the national champion LSU Tigers. He finished with 84 receptions, 1,780 yards, and 20 touchdowns. Guess who else was on that team? Joe Burrow throwing them the ball. Justin Jefferson. You heard of the guy? The guy just had a historic rookie season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire also running that backfield. That offense was potent. But the guy that stood out the most out of all of them besides Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Let me tell you a little bit of the reason why. He's just an elite wide receiver. He's one guy that you could put into your offense to be your wide receiver one, to be that alpha. One of the most elusive wide receivers with the ball in his hands. In space, he's difficult to break down. He's like a semi truck or a tank. One aspect of his game that I think is underrated is his route running ability. I think he does win. He may not get the best separation, but his route running is above average. He has great long speed. He's someone that a lot of people don't think that he'll be running in the 4.4s. He'll be a more of a 4.5, more 4.6 type of guy. But he don't let that fool you. He has a burner. He definitely could hit that second gear and hit those strides. One thing that he does really, really well is he tracks the ball in the air and he does well in contested catches. He's one of those guys that you could run a fade and throw that ball up there in the end zone. He will come down with it a good a good majority of the time. Um, Also, somebody that I think from day one could have an impact on his team. Wherever he goes, he could step into that wide receiver one role or step into that wide receiver two role under a more established guy. I guess what I'm trying to say is the guy is just a problem, man. Wherever you line him up, he's a problem. He's a mismatch monster. He's someone that you can line up in every aspect on the field, and he will have a day. I guess the only thing that I would really consider a weakness is one, he'll be a little bit rusty. Um, didn't play a full season. He took that time to work on uh, his resume essentially for pro days and all that, and his one, I guess, a lot of people think it's going to be a 1 year wonder type of season. He did it as a sophomore. Didn't have an opportunity to repeat,
Yeah.
but he had nothing else to prove. What
Yeah.
do you got to say about Jamar Chase, Henry?
I'm glad you brought up the separating part because he's physical, man. This like I
Mhm.
saw this play, almost like CeeDee Lamb, like just against the corner just in front of him, and the corner like he tried to push him, but he just went just knock him to the ground, like just get off me, and just ran like quick off the scrimmage line. But one of the things that he will have a problem with is like speedy defensive backs because like you said, like he didn't separate well. So against like that kind of cornerbacks, like he will have an issue with. But he's gonna win those 50-50 balls if it comes down to it. Like the way he tracks the ball after I mean with Joe Burrow, of course. It was amazing. And like you said, like he outproduced Justin Jefferson and we know what Justin Jefferson did in the NFL. He had over like
Yeah.
1780 to Jefferson's 1540 yards, 20 touchdowns over his 18 touchdowns. So yeah, like Ellis, and that's another reason why too why I was down on Justin Jefferson last year was because of him. Because I just felt like Justin Jefferson just, he was able to work underneath of what Jamar Chase can do. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just think Jamar Chase is gonna be a number one for a team, and it's just a matter of where he's gonna land. So I'm really interested to hear like
Yeah.
where you think he's gonna land.
I think he'll step in, and he's going to be a top 10 pick. Someone's going to use either have get some weapons, uh, you know, for an already established quarterback for those teams that don't really need to go for quarterback in the top 10. Or are those more on the fence? But I have him either going to one of four teams. Either he goes with Tua and established to be the wide receiver one. The Lions, he would be a perfect fit
Yeah.
for to be Kenny G's replacement if Kenny G doesn't resign there or they don't franchise tag him. Uh, the Philadelphia Eagles, where I see a lot of people. I think this is probably the most realistic spot, just because they need weapons for Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts, whoever's going to be the starting quarterback there. But come on, how can you not want him with Joe Burrow? Can you not see him reunited with his boy, in the NFL? That's honestly where I would love to see him. They do have the number 5 pick. It'll be interesting to see where he does go on draft day. But when I hear the Bengals and I hear the Bengals have made their selection, it better be with the 5th overall pick. They take Jamar Chase.
I mean, yeah, that
What do you think?
that offense would be amazing, dude. Chase Higgins, Boyd, Mixon,
Mixon?
Burrow,
Jeez,
that'd be crazy. But
that'd be
I
crazy.
think the most favorite landing spot right now it's Detroit because obviously because Kenny Galladay might move on and they're gonna need to replace that. So gotta give the fans something to hope for, So give Goff
Yeah,
Chase, you got Hawkinson, Swift. I mean
and
that's
Swift.
yeah, that's looking pretty good right there. So Detroit would be
I
something
agree.
to look out. But I think like if he doesn't go top 10, I can see New York, the Giants pick him up too. And I mean, they
Mhm.
need something down there too.
This class is just so loaded with wide receiver. At least top end talent. We'll probably see around 5, 6. I'd probably say about 5 guys taken in the first
We
round.
definitely need to make
Um,
some prop bets before the NFL draft.
five,
Like,
five, five wide receivers.
yeah,
I'll take the over on that in the NFL draft. Honestly, he may be the third quarter. I mean the third quarterback, third wide receiver taken in the actual NFL draft behind Smith and Waddle, or he may be the first. Honestly, to me, he's my wide receiver one. I think he's a can't miss prospect. He did well. You mentioned earlier he had just a reason a lot of people were down on Justin Jefferson was because Justin Jefferson was playing the complement piece to Jamar Chase's
yeah,
Batman. And look what Justin Jefferson. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and do what Justin Jefferson did his rookie
break his
season.
records.
No one's saying that. Breaking records, Justin Jefferson showed that he was a true alpha. But my NFL comparison for him, and I'm glad you brought up how physical he is at the line, and how he pushes off defenders, and how physical of a bull he is. To me, I see him as a guy like AJ Brown. AJ Brown, that same stature, that same build, that same physicality, that same, win after win those 50-50 balls. And then when you're in space, the dude is just a problem. Uh, I see a lot of AJ Brown in this game.
That's a good comp. I don't have a
It's
I'm not saying he's like Diggs because he's nothing like Diggs as built wise, but when I watch him play,
Yeah.
a lot of his like play style is like Diggs. Like when he's running his route and then
Mhm.
like all of a sudden he stops and just turns back and just catches the ball. Like that's like Diggs' line, then just takes it home. Like he has that kind of
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of I don't want to spend too much time, but I've seen a lot of comparisons to Amari Cooper and Kenny Galladay too. I think that's a good blend, good with the route running, and then also spectacular on those contested catches. So, but I just see a lot of AJ Brown in his game.
Got you. And you mentioned his weaknesses, right? About
Yeah,
the DBs. Another thing, like he's not really a blocking wide receiver. I mean, that's nothing really to like, you know, take points off or whatever. But that's just something that I saw a lot on film. It's like, come on, Chase, like put some effort into it or something.
he's he's definitely Jerry Judy in that aspect.
Yeah,
That was a diss on Jerry Judy coming out of last year was he wasn't willing to block. I don't think that it'll be too much of a game, but head coaches might get pissed off, especially if they're it's definitely a third and short, and he's just not willing to block. They may take his ass off the field, a few plays the next drive, but I just don't see it being too much
yeah.
of a not in a dynasty aspect, too much of a blaring hole.
So real quick, where would you take him in a super flex and a one quarterback?
All right, one quarterback. Harris number one. I think at earliest you could take him number two through number five. You may not be in love with ETN wherever he lands. You may be more wide receiver needy. So I see Jamar Chase going at earliest two, at latest five, and then a super flex, tight end premium. I see him at the earliest going with pick number four, and at the latest going pick number eight. And that's just because you're factoring, the 4 or 5 quarterbacks. They're going to be drafted in the first round on top of Kyle Pitts, plus Najee Harris, plus maybe ETN, depending on, like I said, if you prefer running back over wide receiver. I tend to be more of build your wide receivers. So somewhere, if I am established at quarterback, I will take them as early as four.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, like he might drop because he didn't play a single snap this season. So a lot of people probably forgot about him, especially like your average dynasty player. Like the one thing they're gonna remember is Devontae Smith, Heisman winner, Jalen Waddle's next, and Rondell Moore and Bateman. So I mean, there's a chance that he might slip. So if you
Yeah.
see him going, second, third wide receiver, you snatch him up. If your team needs it and you don't have Harris or ETN, to select, you better pick Chase because that's the obvious pick right there.
Oh, snag them up. Yeah, absolutely. Get that value. Snag them up. Don't look back. Like we said, get your guy, set the tiers. He's a tier one prospect in my eyes. I think you feel the same way, Henry. He's probably a tier one prospect. It sounds like, is he your wide receiver one in this
Yeah,
class?
yeah.
He's a tier one prospect. Don't look back, man. Even if he takes a few years to develop, you have someone that has high upside. I think again he could be he'll be a wide receiver one, and he'll be a good building block for your dynasty team.
Yep. That's all we got for Jamar Chase, man. Don't think about it. Not even one time. Don't even think about it. Just select it.
Just watch the national championship game and be like,
All right, peeps. Deuces.
later.